toxic masculinity.
School district tells principals to create fake curriculum to send to parents after complaints of indoctrination. This is, I mean, seriously, folks, this is unbelievable. Oops, let me switch to my view here. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is crazy. So well, let me just read the story because they do a pretty good job here. This is Daily Wire. Faced with complaints from parents about the indoctrination of children, an official in Rockwell School District, Missouri, instructed teachers to create 2 sets of curriculum. A false one to share with parents, okay, sorry, I was just thinking about the plural of curriculum, which I think is curricula. So I'm not sure which is right there. Anyway, I probably shouldn't be thinking about that. I should just read the story, right? A false one to share with parents, and then a real set of curriculum. It should be set of curricula, right? Isn't that right? Or maybe it's one curricula and multiple curriculum. It's one medium and multiple media, right? So yeah, so it should be a set of curricula. I don't know, whatever. Focused on the topics like activism and privilege, according to a memo obtained by the Daily Wire. Natalie Follert, literary speech coordinator, wrote to all middle and high school principals. Yeah, so this is where it gets crazy. That parents had repeatedly complained that we are pushing an agenda. We are pushing critical race theory. I had to look that one up. Yeah, no, I'm sure you've never heard of critical race theory. Jeez, are you even paying attention, Natalie? We are making white kids feel bad about their privilege. We are stereotyping. We are... Okay, no, you're not making white kids feel bad about their privilege. You're making white kids feel bad about privilege that they don't actually have, that you're telling them they have, you stupid woman. We are stereotyping. We're teaching kids to be social activists, and we are teaching kids to be democratic thinkers and activists. No, you're not teaching them to be thinkers. You're teaching them to be drones and activists. See, this is the problem with people like this. Actually, they did a study. I want to do a report on this. Now, I'm going to write that down. I did write it down. Hold on a second. I'm going to read this to you. So, my notes of news stories. There is a researcher. His name's Jonathan Haidt. Fantastic guy. Not a conservative. Not a Christian as far as I'm aware. But friends with Jordan Peterson. And he's actually done research himself, which showed that Democrats actually can't empathize with conservatives, but conservatives can totally empathize with Democrats. So what he did is he had both conservatives and leftists fill out a questionnaire and either fill it out as if they were a Democrat, fill it out as a Democrat, or if they're a Democrat, fill it out as if they're a conservative. So they would imagine what a conservative would put down as answers, and they would write it as a conservative. And then if they were a conservative, they did the same thing, right? If you were a conservative, they'd say, fill this out as conservatives, or they'd say, fill this out as if you're a Democrat. You know, fill it out in the way you think a Democrat would fill it out. And what he found was, and I'm going to have to research this because I think it's in his book. Oh, I didn't zip up my shirt to give me the awesome spy look, which I always look for. You may wonder why I dress like this every day for the show. It's because I don't have enough black dress shirts, and I'm trying to hide the fact that I'm fat. Yes, you can click that off on your stupid bingo charts, people. I have gotten fat in recent years, and I do want to look decent for camera. Although I am going to go on a pretty strict diet here soon, so I should slim down nicely. It's, you know, I have to do them in like intense spurts. I can't just diet like kind of forever. I have to either like go full on or full off. Just forget about it. But yeah, anyway, we'll get it worked out. We'll get me looking fit and trim here pretty soon. But anyway, so Jonathan Haidt did this. Jonathan Haidt. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Anyway, he did this study, and so what he ended up finding was that leftists could not accurately answer for conservatives, but conservatives could accurately. Oh, Valeria bought me food. She's going to be home in 25 minutes. Fantastic. See you soon, darling. Conservatives could answer accurately for Democrats. So, and somebody wrote me about this the other day, and I didn't. But they were talking about empathy, right, and how Democrats can't empathize. I'm not sure that's 100% true. I'm not sure that it's Democrats can't empathize. I think it's specifically that Democrats cannot empathize with conservatives. And I think the reason for that is that Democrats, well, two reasons. One, Democrats have been indoctrinated into this ridiculous idea that the conservatives are like literally evil, and we're all racist and we're all horrible. But also that Democrats are fed a steady stream of misinformation. Right? They are fed lies about conservatives constantly. So what they believe conservative positions are not conservative positions. They're these. Those are my headphones. I don't like weird little things distracting on the screen. So the point I'm trying to make here is that the flip side to that is that conservatives, we actually understand how leftists think. And the reason for that, I think, is twofold. One, we're constantly inundated with Democrat ideas, right? It's in our movies, it's on our TV shows, it's in our schools, it's everywhere. So we're constantly hearing Democrat ideas. The Republican position, to some degree, right, is a formulation of philosophical ideas based on our principles, and also, to some degree, positioned against bad ideas that are popular bad ideas. So if you have a set of ideas that are very good, you then have two directions to take. The first direction is to try to build a society based around those principles and enact policies that will improve quality of life based on your fundamental perceptions of reality and the principles that you have. However, the other direction you have to go sometimes is if you have another group who has a totally other set of perceptions of reality that are maybe false, in this case, I think false, Democrats, and who are trying to actively attack your ideas and destroy your policies and block you from your aims, right? So then you have to position a lot of policies and position a lot of your philosophical ideas, not just in a positive direction to promote these ideas and improve society, but also to defend against these bad ideas and these people that are trying to destroy you and these people who are trying to destroy society, essentially. And many Democrats are trying to destroy society, I think, intentionally, but I think a lot of Democrats are obviously not trying to destroy the society, but that's the inevitable result of what they're doing. So they're sort of unintentionally destroying society. But let's get back to it. So I'm not sure what I suspect that these teachers are well intentioned. I think that they genuinely believe that teaching social justice and woke critical race theory BS is actually beneficial to society. And I think that they're completely unaware of the reality that they're actually destroying these kids' minds. But the parents are very aware that these people are destroying their kids' minds, and they're obviously very unhappy about this. So let's go ahead and read a little bit more here. The problem was that for the first time, parents could see what teachers were telling their children thanks to virtual learning, where assignments were visible for at-home learners in a tool called Canvas, right? So all the lessons went on this server, I guess, called Canvas, and kids would take their work from this server. So this woman, Natalie Follert, her solution was as follows. This is the letter that she wrote. This doesn't mean throw out the lesson and find a new one. Just pull the resources off Canvas so parents can't see it. Keep teaching. Just don't make everything visible on Canvas. This is not being deceitful. You're not deceiving anybody. This is just doing what you've done for years. Prior to the pandemic, you didn't send everything home or have it available. You taught in your classroom, and things were peachy keen. And we're going old school. So her idea is, because parents were ignorant of the bullshit that they were teaching these teachers were teaching their kids before this, then there's no reason why parents should be privy to the crap they're teaching kids now, that just because there's a pandemic. Listen, lady, just because you were getting away with this crap before, that doesn't mean it's okay to go ahead and hide it from parents now. You were doing something wrong before. You were teaching kids things that the parents didn't want taught to their kids. The parents just didn't know about it. Now they're aware of it, and you're like, oh, the problem isn't that we're teaching kids stuff the parents don't want taught to their kids. The problem is that the parents are aware of it. So let's just hide it from the parents. What this is, I mean, not only should this, I mean, this should be a crime, right? Not only should this woman lose her job and never be allowed in teaching anywhere in the world ever again, but I think people like this need to go to prison. This is unbelievably horrible to teach kids something that the parents think is actually evil and just like not tell the parents about. Okay, parents are teaching their kids something we don't like. We want to teach them this other thing that the parents think are evil. Well, let's just not let the parents know about it. I mean, this is the most irresponsible, horrible thing I could possibly imagine anybody in the teaching field ever doing. I mean, I don't have any kids, but I have a lot of nieces, and I have one nephew, which is kind of annoying. You want there to be balance, right? You want there to be like an equal number of boys and girls, but I've got a lot of nieces. Not that I don't love my nieces. They're fantastic. Let's see here. You could duplicate any, this is where it gets crazy. You could duplicate any an entry/lesson in Canvas, making 2 copies. You publish one for the whole class. That's a lean version of the lesson. That is, it doesn't have all the SJW woke crap in it. But then their original that has all the stuff on it can be published and only assigned to specific students if needed, or could specifically be emailed to students, email students a copy of what they need. So you put on Canvas the fake lesson, and then you email students privately the real lesson so the parents don't see it, right? So if the parents are looking through Canvas, they'll see the fake lessons, but then you email the kids secretly the SJW woke lessons. The reason I say make a copy, you can publish the new one. Okay. The reason I say make a copy, I think she's missing some grammar here. You can publish the new one that has less information on it. Then for that kid who's all virtual and needs a full lesson, you can publish it and assign it only that kid. How is this woman in education when she clearly cannot write? There should be a period here, or maybe this is not supposed to count. I'm not exactly sure what she's getting wrong here, but this is all messed up. Let's see here. And assign it only that kid to only that kid? My God. I mean, honestly, let me look this woman up. Who are you, Net? What does a moron look like? That's what I'm curious about. Let's see here. Images. No. I don't think any of these people are her. Is this her? Are you the moron? No, it doesn't look like this is her. I don't know. I can't tell. Maybe is this her? Maybe that's her. No, this is from some gospel choir. I can't tell. I can't tell who this is. I mean, there's obviously stories about the story, but anyway, whoever this woman is, I can't find her with a quick Google search or Bing. I'm using Bing. But whatever she looks like, whoever she is clearly a moron. I always like to know what morons look like. If I'm driving and somebody does something really stupid, I always like to kind of get in front of them and have a look to see what stupid really looks like. Okay. Let's see here. Anything that could be picked apart, I would suggest using the above approach, i.e. anything that has woke stuff in it. Again, I wouldn't throw it out, but you could just not give them access to the story. What a bitch. When you get into power imbalances, you might remove the 2 examples and just go over them in class, same as above. No, you don't teach about power imbalances because that is critical race theory. That is gender studies. That is all the communist garbage that we're talking about. This what do you call it? Neo-Marxist. Well, it's not neo-Marxism. What is it? It's yeah. Anyway, whatever. It's this critical race theory crap and feminism and yeah. It's stuff we don't want taught to the kids anyway. Power imbalances. Come on, give me a break. I hate that we're even having to have this conversation 29 days and counting. No, you don't have to have that conversation. Here's the conversation you have. Stop teaching kids this racist gender studies garbage. The power imbalances thing is total garbage. That's not real stuff, right? It's just made up gobbledygook crap. All right, let me keep reading here. She referred to a cell of parents and claimed that they didn't know the difference between a small d Democrat country and the Democratic Party. I hate it when stupid people point to perfectly intelligent people and talk about how stupid those people are. It's always really cringy to me because I always just think, oh, you idiot. You know, I was listening to a Bill Nye video the other day, and he kept saying, look, I get it. You guys think this and that. And every time he said that, he was wrong. He was totally wrong. He was talking about what conservatives think, right? It was like a pro-abortion video. And he was like, I get it. Conservatives think this. I'm like, I literally talk about conservative politics for a living. I've never heard a conservative say the things that he was saying. I get it. I get why you think this. I'm like, no, you don't get it. You don't get anything, Bill Nye. You've got a bachelor's degree in engineering, and you think you're a scientist, and you literally get nothing that conservatives think. And it goes back to this study by Jonathan Haidt, who's saying, you know, the study shows that Republicans understand what Democrats are thinking. Democrats do not understand what conservatives are thinking. They're very, I think part of the problem is they're very, what's the word? They're very arrogant. It's not really just they're sort of, they've got a sort of unfounded confidence in their own intelligence and their own understanding, right? They're very ignorant of conservative ideas, but they think they're very knowledgeable, right? You've got this problem where somebody who knows maybe a little bit about conservative ideas think they know a lot. It's a phenomenon which I think there's actually a name for this phenomenon, where people who know a little bit about stuff think they know a ton about it, but they don't. And this happens with politics. Republicans do truly know a lot about what Democrats think, because a lot of our policies are sort of based around it. And again, like I said, we're completely inundated with Democrat ideas all the time. But Democrats just don't hear conservative ideas ever. They never hear it. It's not provided to them on CNN. It's not provided to them through the New York Times, through MSNBC, anything like this, any of their usual news outlets. So they just never hear what our positions actually are. Whenever I do hear a conservative on a leftist network, they're usually incompetent. They can't speak. They don't know what they're saying. All right. None of the superstars on the conservative side are ever invited to speak on Democrat platforms, because there was an idea a little while back that that was dangerous. Right. If we are giving conservatives a platform, then we're being too nice to them. Right. We're doing them some kind of a service by allowing their message to be heard by Democrats. But you're only doing us a service. You're only doing something dangerous if, in fact, your side is buying into our arguments. And that's probably not going to happen unless our arguments are better than yours, right? So I think this all kind of boiled down to the fact that they realized that conservative ideas are just better, and we are going to red pill a lot of people as people start to hear conservative ideas. By the way, I heard red pill the other day described as turning somebody... This is one of the Q videos that I did. I did this video on Blue and On, which you should watch. And by the way, the last video I posted got the fewest views of any video I've posted in years. I don't know what the hell's going on with YouTube, but anyway. But I did this video on Blue and On, which I think is the counterpoint to QAnon, which is this idea that Democrats are all conspiracy theorists. And I was watching a video about this, and it was a British show, and they were trying to explain the QAnon phenomenon. And they said that when QAnon is able to convert a non-believer in Q to believing in the Q stuff, they call that red pilling. And to me, this is a very misleading thing to tell the viewers of that video, because conservatives generally say that if a leftist becomes a conservative, that's being red pilled. Right? So if you tell the leftists that being red-pilled is specifically becoming a supporter of Q or believer in Q, well, then anytime a conservative says, oh, this person got red-pilled, the left is going to think, oh, now they believe in the Q stuff. But that's not true. And the video didn't provide that context at all. I mean, maybe people who believe in the Q stuff do call it red pilling when somebody starts to believe in Q stuff, but that's also what conservatives say when a leftist becomes a conservative. So the kind of disinformation that you see coming from the left is pretty unbelievable. I mean, it's pretty much everything I hear on leftist media is a lie, or is something that is a mistake, or is a misapprehension of reality, or is something that's just not true. It's almost all not true, and a lot of it's intentional, and a lot of it's just because they don't know what conservatives think. Okay, moving on. In addition to serving as a school administrator in Rockwell in 2018, Fowler was elected to the school board of a nearby school district, Jefferson R7, illustrating the way in which apathetic voters often elect those whose interests are with teachers rather than parents in little scrutinized school board races. There is actually a response to this I'd like to play before I move on to the last story, which I think is a very important story. But let's go ahead and play this video. I'm going to go ahead and put the audio on, and you got the video, so I'm not screwing this up. Okay, hold on.
Wire found this email that was sent out. This is from the literacy speech coordinator in the district, sent it out to the middle school and high school principals. And it says, this doesn't mean throw out the lesson and find a new one. Just pull the resource off Canvas so parents cannot see it. Keep teaching. Just don't make everything visible on Canvas. This is not being deceitful. This is just doing what you have done for years. Prior to the pandemic, you didn't see everything at home or have it available. You taught in your classroom and things were peachy keen. We are going old school. So basically they're saying they're two sets of curriculum. How do you feel about that?
Yes, well, obviously pretty upset. This was our first year in public school. We had made the switch from private because we thought that was better for him for high school. And we just weren't used to that. In private school, there's a tremendous amount of accountability between the school and parents. And we were very surprised at this. And the whole thing started in the email. They mentioned that parents are upset about the book Dear Martin. That was one of the books that parents had problems with. That was the book that my child had in language arts. And when I had a chance to really go through the book, because I knew it was in their cultural identity unit in language arts, and that kind of set off some bells for me, because why are you doing that? That belongs in a college anthropology course to me. So I started looking through the book, and I was shocked at what I saw. Apparently, it was approved by the district, and it's a YA, young adult 13 plus book. No one has a right to read stuff like that to anyone's child, minor child, without their parents' permission. It's full of foul language. The racial stereotypes, I think, are done for a reason. They're offensive, but I think that the author had a reason for doing that, and I understand that. There's cop hate. And there are several students in my son's class that are law enforcement family, and we are a law enforcement family. Alcohol use, girls talked about like they're just simply pieces of meat. Wow. And the foul language. Now, my son's teacher did a fantastic job of presenting this difficult book, I think very gracefully and very respectfully. And I in no way want to impugn the teachers that we've encountered at Rockwood School District. They have been just fantastic, more than we imagined they'd be for my son for his first time in public school and mainstreaming his special ed needs. It's been fantastic. Okay. But that book is inappropriate for children.
Well, hopefully they'll listen to you teenagers. And they will prevent two sets of curriculum and just stay on the straight and narrow. Thank you so much for being on with us. I wish you all the best.
That's actually great. I'm actually kind of impressed with. I hadn't actually watched that before. I did the live stream, and I could say that I'm pleasantly surprised by that. It's always nice to hear about private schools that are doing a good job. Private schools, public schools that are doing a good job. So this woman is very happy with her public school. She took her kid out of private school and put them into public school. That's a huge risk, guys. I went to public school my whole life. I never went to a private school. And I would say this, if I had kids, I will never send them to public school anywhere. I don't know it's too much of a risk. Now, I know there are some good public schools. She's obviously got a good public school. You may be watching the show and think, my kid's got a great public school. That's fantastic. If you can find a great public school, I say that's amazing. But where I'm from in Oregon, my sister and my brother will not send their kids to public school there because it is just leftist indoctrination. So those kids have to go to private school now. And, they have to spend a lot of money on that. But it's worth it because, if you can afford it, it's worth it because having your kids grow up being indoctrinated into this Black Lives Matter leftist woke BS, that's the worst thing you could do for your kids. It's just terrible. If you're in an area in which the public school is good and not necessarily falling into that, that tendency, which a lot of the public schools are, then that's great. Obviously this woman believes that the teacher that's teaching her child is a good teacher, and that's great. If she's happy with her public school, I think that's fantastic. And it's heartening to know that there are some public schools still out there that are decent, but we do need to move to a privatized system so that we don't have this problem where you have this disease that infects all public schools, like critical race theory and these other BS things. All right, let's move on to the next story, shall we? The last story, I think probably the most important story of the day. Let me grab that. Okay, so this one is called Biden DOJ moves to stop Arizona audit. Yeah, so the Arizona audit. We've talked before about how terrified Democrats seem to be about this Arizona audit. Now, Joe Biden's DOJ is getting involved. So, Biden DOJ to interfere with state of Arizona forensic audit of Maricopa County ballots. And then there's a DOJ letter here. The same organization that manufactured and ran the Russian collusion hoax allowed for the 2020 election fraud is going to interfere with the Arizona ballot. This is according to Gateway Pundit. Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.